Hey everybody, what's going on? Let's just do a quick mic check. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat, and if so, we will get started here shortly. All right, it looks like we're good. Well, welcome back, everybody, to Walks on Wall Street. Today is November 8th, 2023. It's about 9:13 p.m. here in New York City. Very cold night, too. It's about 42 degrees, slightly windy. But tomorrow, I looked at the weather, and it looks like it's going to be 65 degrees out, which is good. So today was Disney Day. Today is Wednesday, so we heard from our good friend Bob Iger over at Disney. Now, I would say the main breaking, sort of line for Disney's earnings report is two things. Cutting costs was mentioned multiple times throughout the report. So Disney expands cost-cutting plan by $2 billion. However, it does post better than expected profit, and they beat both on the top and the bottom line. So Disney reported an EPS of around 82 cents. Wall Street was expecting 70 cents. Revenue came in at $21.24 billion. The street was expecting $21.33 billion. Now, net income or profitability came in at $264 million. If you want to compare it to the same quarter last year, Disney raked in about $162 million for the quarter. So decent improvement there on profitability. Now, an interesting thing, though, coming out of the report, and we've been talking about this specifically yesterday as we did a little bit of the preview for the earnings, parks attendance was higher at the Disney parks, which I wasn't expecting too much, to be honest, because you're seeing, in a lot of the other data, particularly from the major banks, that debt balances, right, consumer credit is growing in the U.S. The unemployment rate is ticking up to 3.9%, and credit card delinquencies are ticking up. All while you still have parks, which is really the main driver of profitability at Disney, showing some decent growth. So Disney's Experience division saw revenues jump 13% to $8.16 billion during the quarter as parks saw higher attendance and ticket prices domestically and abroad. Pretty good. The company reported that there are still lower hotel rates at its Florida resort, and the area is experiencing higher operating costs, which makes sense, right? Florida, very high. Probably they're dealing with higher taxes, and they're also probably dealing with insurance, operating costs there. Parks represented around 66% of total revenue for this division. So it seems like people are still relatively going out and spending on Disney vacations. I was reading, I believe this was a Business Insider article it was like 1 or 2 weeks ago, that it said the average family, right, of 4, if you're going to spend the weekend at Disney, it could cost upwards of $5,000 just for 3 nights. I mean, to me, that's crazy, but I guess it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, to go to Disney parks. But seems like the consumer is holding up relatively well. I mean, if we want to use Disney's earnings report as a proxy, but we'll see. Another thing, really quick, let's take a look at crude oil. Crude oil again sold off. Now, yesterday when we were doing the stream, I believe we had about an $82 a barrel print. Today, we have $77.50. So, continuing to see a sell-off in crude, which I think is good news. Because we are going into the holidays. Believe it or not, it is already November 8th, which means in 2 weeks, it is Thanksgiving. There's going to be lots of travel. People are going to be flying all across the country, driving all across the country. And then after Thanksgiving, you have the main holidays, right? Hanukkah, Christmas, New Year's, you get the drill. So at least that'll provide Americans some much-needed relief at the pump. So we'll see sort of how that plays out. And this goes against all of the narratives on the street that with increased conflict in the Middle East, with war breaking out between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, Palestine, you would think that crude oil would be raging. Not so much. It just seems like the conflict is going to continue to stay isolated to that particular region. So, in my opinion, I think we're going to see crude oil well under $100 a barrel going throughout 2024, which I think is good. But we could use this actually as a little piece of bad news, because sometimes we could use commodities as leading economic indicators in and of themselves. So as you see the market, right, if we know that the market is forward-looking by 6 months, and we see that crude oil is selling off, well, what does that mean about demand? Right? What is the market telling us about demand for gas and crude? Well, it's probably going to wane. And we have some supporting evidence by this. Last week, on the first business day of the month, we heard from the Institute for Supply Management as they released their Purchasing Managers Index for October, and that cratered big time. So manufacturing capacity in the United States has declined substantially month over month. Now, we're going to go into that in a little bit more detail tomorrow in the Behind the Street newsletter. So just as a quick reminder to everybody before we get started here and kick this off, as we explore the Upper East Side of Manhattan tonight, tomorrow at 6 o'clock, maybe 6 or 7 o'clock, check your email okay? Because you will be receiving the third edition of our Behind the Street newsletter, which is our free financial newsletter that we send out every other Thursday to all Walks and Wall Street subscribers. We're going to be talking about the recent WeWork bankruptcy. We're going to be talking about the Institute for Supply Management PMI numbers. We're going to be talking about increased market breadth across the S&P 500 and the most recent rally in Russell 2000 stocks. Then we are going to finish the newsletter off by doing some yield curve analysis. What is the appropriate way to read the yield curve? Okay, we're going to be doing almost like a mini lesson in how we should be interpreting the yield curve, so you do not want to miss that. So please scan the QR code on your screen. If you punch in your email, you will be signed up to receive our Substack for free, or if you type !news, NEWS in the chat, the Nightbot will drop the link to our Substack and you can sign up for free there. So I'm going to go ahead, close up the laptop. I'll say hello to everybody in the chat, and then let's head to the Upper East Side, particularly Sutton Place. Let's go all the way to the East River. .5% after hours. Yeah, I thought it was a decent quarter. I thought it was a very decent quarter, and what surprised me was the parks revenue. So it still seems like, well, at least the middle class and the upper middle class is still willing to spend, right? Still willing to spend during this time. But guys, let's head over to the east side. We haven't been to Sutton Place in maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month now. So I think it'd be cool to check it out. This is the corner of East 56th Street and Park Avenue. We are now looking at 425 Park, which is one of the newest Class A office towers in Manhattan. I see RPT is here, SME Media, Unij 23, HAL T16. Good to see everybody. Jim says, oh no, some buffering. Really, again tonight? I don't know what's been going on in the city. Usually this area of the city is really good with the internet, so I don't know, we'll see. Hey, Vincent, what's up? This is good evening, Tom. It's good to see you. Likewise, welcome. Vincent, you know what I was watching actually a little bit? Well, quite briefly. I was watching, and I didn't even know it was on. I was watching the Republican debate for like 3 minutes. I don't really want to get too political, but the moment I turned it on, because one of my buddies sent me the link, they were talking about, and maybe I just turned it on at not such an opportune time, but the first words I heard was, we need to double down on AI, cybersecurity in space. Now, those are like very, very big buzzwords, you know, AI, cybersecurity, space. But it got me thinking, right? And I'm not trying to be mean or political. I think it's on both sides of the political spectrum. Do we think, and I'm being honest, and maybe I'm wrong, do we think these politicians actually like know what they're talking about, like in terms of the context? Now, like if you say, oh, we need to double down on AI, cybersecurity, and space, like what does that mean? I mean, if I was the moderator for the debate, right, I think I would try to push back a little bit, and I'd be like, okay, that all sounds great, but what do you mean by that exactly? Like, what exactly would you do to double down on AI, cybersecurity, and space? I don't know. I just thought it was kind of funny because these buzzwords have been thrown around so much, and I don't know. I just don't know if Chris Christie has the expertise on AI, cybersecurity, and space. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, who knows. All right, let's cross Park Avenue. And it's not just Chris Christie. I'm just singling him out because I think that's the one who said it. Donna L says no, they could barely use social media. Vincent says me too. I shut it off, too much BS. Yeah, and again, it's not really a political statement. What I'm trying to explain is that, like, it's okay to say something, like, as a politician, but, like, what do you mean by that exactly? Because I guess the question was, how are we going to stay competitive with China? And the question was, we need to double down on AI, cybersecurity, in space. Now, I get that sounds great, right? That all sounds good. But like, do you have any expertise on like what exactly do you mean? Like, are we going to fortify our infrastructure somehow? Are we going to build new products and services? I just don't think, in my view, in my opinion, and respectfully, we'll wait for this ambulance to go by and then we'll cross the street. I just think that they say buzzwords. I don't think they actually like know specifics. All right, let's continue to walk over. Yeah, I know. Sunshine after rain, it's another busy night. It was loud last night too. All right, let's head over to Sutton Place, and we're going to see some of my favorite buildings here. A lot of the buildings in Sutton Place, as we know, are co-ops, but a lot of them have amazing views overlooking the East River, like really, really nice. Onyx says, but cybersecurity should be run by man in space. Hey, Ren10 says, Tom, feels like the bottom of the market was October 2022. Yeah, it kind of does. And the market, I mean, if you look at the S&P particularly, right, the major index, it kind of looks like a massive, massive cup with handle pattern. Now, 2 weeks ago, there was only about 20% of stocks in the S&P that were trading above the 200-day moving average. I mean, that's real bad deterioration there. But the good news is, we sort of wrote about this in the newsletter, right around those levels of extension, when you're seeing so many stocks hit new 52-week lows as opposed to new 52-week highs, you kind of get these really ferocious snapback rallies pretty much across the board. So, you know, and the seasonality of the market going into December, it's usually very positive for stocks. So we'll see if this continues. Now, September is usually the worst month for stocks. And as we're talking about stocks, guess what? We are right outside of Bloomberg. So we might as well take a detour and check out Bloomberg. I'll show you guys. This is the main Bloomberg headquarters. You can actually see some of the offices in here. Now, on the other side of the building is the Bloomberg Studios. So if you've ever watched Bloomberg on TV, I also think they have it streamed on YouTube 24/7. If you go to the Bloomberg Global Markets YouTube channel, it'll have a continuous stream. And obviously during the US market, they film it here. So I think the studios are recorded right here, which is pretty cool. It's a nice building. During the holidays, they have a nice display here. Hey, Cody, what's up? Good to see you. I mean, speaking of artificial intelligence, cybersecurity in space, this kind of looks like a spaceship. The facade of the Bloomberg building looks very futuristic in nature. Now, I have a friend who works at Bloomberg, and he says very, very seldom does, you know, the former mayor, Michael Bloomberg, ever come into the building. He's here maybe like once or twice a year. He says he mainly focuses on his philanthropic, like his philanthropy, Bloomberg philanthropy. So, yeah, I mean, high security, very cool building. What do you guys think? They usually have it decorated really nice during the holidays too. Now, a Bloomberg terminal, it used to cost like $2,500 a month, I just heard it went up. I think it's like $2,700, $2,800 a month now for one license of a terminal. So imagine, you can only imagine the type of money Bloomberg is raking in. And they're a private company too. You know, they're not publicly traded, so they don't have to answer to anybody. They essentially have this huge monopoly in that market. So I think it's pretty ripe for disruption. There's a few competitors, but the product of the competitors aren't really that good, and I don't think they'll take market share. If you look all the way down, you can see the Lipstick building, and that's actually where Bernie Madoff was running his Ponzi scheme, right in this building right here. But anyway, what I was saying about the competitors, it's really hard for them to gain market share because, you know, if you're running a trading operation or you're running a bank, a lot of the order execution, and particularly for bonds or fixed income trading, it runs right through Bloomberg. And that's how many bankers and things like that communicate, through the terminal. So it's almost as if Bloomberg is like a messaging, like an SMS messaging platform for global equity markets, for finance. So, I mean, never say never, but I think they have a pretty strong, you know, grip on the market, pretty much in perpetuity forever, it seems. All right, let's continue to head north. We'll go up 2 more blocks, then we'll make a right. And then we will be right in the heart of, well, since we have the light, we might as well cross here. You'll see the 59th Street Bridge. And then we'll take a little bit of a walk around Sutton Place. Hey, SME Media says, will we be posting any apartment tours anytime soon? Yes. So I have 2 of them filmed. I just have to upload them. It's just been pretty busy. I got to get on a more regular cadence. But yes, we have a couple interesting, well, I can't say yet, but we have a new project, which is a big new development in Chelsea that we just won. So we're going to be leading sales on that. Guys, look at this. Hold on. Waterbox, Miami, New York. Look at these tubs. This is stunning. All right, we got to give a little bit of a detour here. Away from the finance talk. 1 out of 10 on these tubs right here. What do you think? Would you have this in your house? I think I would. I even love the vanity here. Look at that. That is so stunning. Now, it looks like one piece of marble, but I'm not too sure. But that looks stunning. Let's look at the other designs and the other fixtures, actually. Wow, this one looks even better. Now, from here, this looks like one solid piece of marble that they've just carved. I love the very minimalistic design. Also on the vanity too, look at that. You have double vanity. And everything is one solid piece. You know, this reminds me of the fixtures. So like the fixtures here, reminds me of 130 William. Very similar design. I also like those over there. These are really nice. DA says I like that one. Yeah, this one, you know what I would actually also like, and I've seen this in some new developments in the city, like this really, really dark black, not granite, but like a black marble. That's also really nice. So like maybe 2 tones darker than this. I don't know, these are beautiful. These are cool. Maybe like a little less dark than the one all the way in the back. Yeah, but SME Media, it's a good question. So we just won to head up sales on a nice new development in Chelsea. And that one is really beautiful. I think you guys are going to like that. So I will be posting some of those property tours as we have new product come to market. So yeah, Andrews just can't imagine the price. Probably not cheap, for sure. Now, unrelated, one of my buddies posted on Twitter today. He got a cracked sort of a side mirror on his car, and it cost $460 to replace a side mirror, like a mirror like this. That's just insane. For one little part of side view mirror. I don't know. It seems like everything is ridiculously expensive nowadays. All right, here we are, 58th Street. Hey, Nina is here. What's going on? She says, hey, Tom from Arizona. What's up? I watch because I miss New York City and learn from your financial knowledge conversations. Well, thank you so much. I'm assuming it's a lot warmer in Arizona than it is here. It's a very frigid night in New York City. But you know what I also like? That's right here on the corner of 58th Street. These are very rare. A lot of them are closing down, but these are the original diners, sort of with the original look and feel. But my favorite one, if you're in New York City and you want to come to one of the original diners, go to The Flame. It's called The Flame, and it's on, I want to say 59th, the corner of 59th Street and 9th. It's right outside the Deutsche Bank Towers. But I don't know, I think there's something really nice about going to an original diner, just sitting down at the bar, having a cup of coffee, you know, and a lot of them, they're just being priced out of the city due to the crazy rents. So there's only a handful of 24/7, 365 diners in the city, one of which being right here. It's small, compact. There's a couple more on the Upper East Side. Maybe we'll walk by them tonight. But this is the 59th Street Bridge. Full steam ahead. Hey, Tom Glass says, how about a $1,600 tail light for a pickup truck? Vehicles are so loaded with electronics and tech now, everything but the engine is astronomically expensive. That's a really good point, and I never really thought about that until you just mentioned it right now. Everything is so advanced now in vehicles. And it reminds me of this time last year, I was reading an article in Investors Business Daily about Polaris. And I think Polaris, they have like, they're like an extreme like motorsports company, like they sell snowmobiles and all types of stuff, right? And the article was saying in 2021, the demand was so high for new snowmobiles and four-wheelers and all that stuff. And this was obviously right around the time where we had that big semiconductor shortage. So they were just shipping all of the snowmobiles and four-wheelers, ATVs, all that stuff, without any of the electronics. They were shipping the electronics after. And so many people were complaining that they were getting all of the electronics for the equipment that they ordered like a year after, and a lot of the equipment was malfunctioning after like 2 or 3 months into use. And the replacement costs on that were about a quarter of what they paid for the entire snowmobile, which is just really, really wild to me. Wow, Justin S.'s new snowmobiles are 22 grand. Holy, you could buy a car for that. Really? New snowmobiles are 22,000? I wouldn't have guessed that. I would guess that you could get a snowmobile for like 8 grand, 10 grand, $22,000? Wow. Anybody here recently just bought a snowmobile or anything like that? Sparks Carnival says Ferrari's up 56.5% year to date. Yeah, they're doing really well, and I could have sworn I was watching an interview with the CEO of Ferrari on CNBC, and I think he was talking about EV demand. Now, Ferrari is one of those companies where they deal at such a high price point that the demand is almost, I guess, kind of like inelastic, where like recessions will not impact them as much as, you know, like a GM or a Toyota or something like that. Because chances are, if you can afford to pay, $250,000 for a Ferrari, maybe even upwards of $500,000. I don't even know how much these things cost, but I'm assuming a new Ferrari could go for over $250,000, right? If you have that kind of money to drop on a car, you're probably extremely wealthy, and probably to the tune of maybe 50 million plus in your net worth. So, even in a rising interest rate environment, if you have, $10-20 million parked in an account that's yielding 5.5%, close to 6%, I mean, you're pretty much set. Hey, Joe C is here. What's up? Good to see you. Yeah, Kenny says, I heard they sold 2 years of cars already. Kenny, I'm working with a client that wants to buy let's wait for this bus to go by. Even though we have the light signal, I don't trust the bus drivers in New York City. There was a race, not the New York City Marathon. I think it was like a 5K. Did anybody see that video on Twitter? Well, let's actually go one down and then I'll show you the entire Sutton Place. I guess the NYPD forgot to close down this race running route for this 5K in Manhattan, and a bus, like an MTA bus, almost ran over 50 people right outside One Vanderbilt. So you kind of got to watch it. But anyway, so I'm working with this client, ironically on the Upper East Side, who wants to purchase a parking space for the sole purpose of leaving his Ferrari in the space for 6 months out of the year, right? Because it's probably not a good idea to drive your Ferrari around Manhattan when it's snowing, right? Because the sanitation department throws down a lot of road salt, and it's probably not a good idea to drive your Ferrari through a lot of the salt to corrode the, outside of the car. So some people, there's a market for people that'll spend $140,000 to $170,000 on a parking space to winterize their supercars in Manhattan. It's quite unique. All right, guys, in the distance, you can see an interesting view of 432 Park Avenue. This is all the way from First Avenue now. And we are going to turn around and start walking through one of my favorite neighborhoods in all of New York City, Sutton Place. You can see the Sutton Wine Shop here. And even though we're technically in the heart of the city, and you're only mere steps away from Midtown Manhattan and Billionaires Row, as we head deeper towards the east side, particularly right on the East River, you're going to notice everything's going to become very quiet. There's going to be virtually no foot traffic, and you're going to see a lot of these gorgeous co-op style buildings with doormen, and it's just very beautiful. It's very quiet. Now, this part of the city, even though it is very expensive, right, and it is very beautiful, in terms of a price per square foot, it's trading at a significant discount sometimes in some of the condominiums in Midtown. Now, we've talked about some of the reasons why multiple times, but there's been a really big shift in the city, particularly between international buyers, millennials, and Gen Z. They favor more of the condos who have less strict rules, but also they have a lot of the amenities. Like in these buildings, you're not really going to find pools. Very seldom you're going to find a gym. And in co-ops, dealing with the cooperative board, it can definitely be very, very strict. Sometimes they, if you purchase in a co-op, depending on the rules, the house rules that the board makes, sometimes you're not even allowed to rent your units out. So you really got to make sure, if you see something that you like, and maybe it's, really nicely priced, you got to make sure you check the rules. Because some of them don't even allow pets, some of them. So you really have to make sure you check the rules here. But you can get a larger 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom apartment here, right? So let's say if you have new development in Midtown area, new dev for like a 2-bedroom, you're looking at maybe like 1,500 square feet, maybe a little bit more from some of the newer product that I'm seeing. You can get a much larger 2-bedroom at a much more affordable price per square foot. in some of these places on the Upper East Side, particularly Sutton Place. But just know that you're not going to get any of those amenities in most cases, and they're going to be older buildings. But if you're just looking for a nice place to live and you don't need all the bells and whistles, and you want something in a neighborhood that's very quiet, that feels like you're away from the city while being only a 10 or 15 minute walk, I would look into Sutton Place. It's really nice. You know, Sparks Carnival, I did see something like that. So 10 members of the Gambino crime family in Brooklyn were arrested today. Anyone in the chat read that? I think I saw something on Twitter, but I wasn't really paying attention to it too much. SME Media says, do the older buildings tend to have less amenities? A lot of the older buildings tend to have almost like no amenities. You may have like a courtyard, you may have outdoor space, but you're not going to have, in most cases, right? There are some nuance, but in most cases, you're not going to have swimming pools. You're not going to have pet spas. You're not going to have, state-of-the-art gym facilities. It's crazy because some of the new product that's come to market in Long Island City, which is just across the river there, some of the amenities are like almost too over the top. Some of this new product here in the city, and even out in Queens, they have in-building pet spas and just tons of other stuff. Movie theaters, they have just so much. It's almost like you don't even need to leave your house. Everything you need is right there. There's a building right across the street from Trinity Church, all the way in Lower Manhattan. This is a beautiful building here. The facade is amazing. It kind of feels like you're walking the streets of New England or right in Boston. I think this park is closed, but I'll take you to the other one. Might as well try. But the views from Sutton Place Park are amazing. But I think they close it down at night. They do, we just missed it. Let's see what time it closes at. All right, operating hours. Okay, so from November 1st to April 30th, it closes at 6 p.m. That's a little bit of a bummer, but you guys probably remember I did a walking tour of Sutton Place Park maybe 3 weeks ago when it was pouring raining. So just know that it closes at 6 o'clock now during the winter, which is a little bit of a bummer because that park is stunning. If you have not gone to Sutton Place Park, I would make a trip. I would make a trip and walk all the way over here and do it, particularly if you're a tourist. A lot of tourists don't even really know about Sutton Place and just how beautiful it is. You have an amazing unobstructed view of this bridge right here, which is the one and only 59th Street Bridge. It's like a private garden there too. Now these are the doors that we always point out. These are my favorite townhomes at Sutton Place. Let me see if I could zoom out a little bit. Ooh, guys. Okay, that is super unfortunate for whoever lives there. Look at this. Look at that. There's this ugly scaffolding. Not to be super over dramatic, but look, it's literally blocking your window right here. That's unfortunate, but in the city, particularly in these old buildings, I believe every 10 years they have to do some sort of a facade restoration. But still, these townhomes look beautiful. This one's really nice too. You can kind of see in the living room there. Not too hot about the paint color. It's like a lime green. I think that should be changed, but then again, I don't have $20 million to buy it, so to each its own. I just don't really like the green. I'm more of a, I really like that old style, like wood paneling for the library. Not the kind of wood paneling that looks really tacky from the 70s, but older than that. Think about a Morgan Library. Think about a New York Public Library, right? If you've ever been in there. That really heavy wood paneling that goes all around that literally makes your room look like a library. I think that fits really well with these type of townhomes here. Now these ones are totally being restored. You have your private driveway. You could tell the facade is brand new. That brick is very bright. Here, we'll stand on the other side of the street, but imagine this being your view. 59th Street Bridge. You can see Roosevelt Island. That's actually the Roosevelt Island Racquet Club here. And then you can see all the way to Queens. Look at these townhomes. You have your own private driveway. These massive bay windows that overlook the East River. And then you have a nice little seating area and a park. You can see benches here. And again, guys, not a lot of people, particularly non-New Yorkers that are looking to move to New York City. This neighborhood is so overlooked. Sutton Place is so overlooked. And I think it's a great place to move, particularly if you have young kids and a family. We're a 15-minute walk away from Billionaires Row, so even less. You know, if you're walking at my pace, 10-minute walk away from Billionaires Row, Park Avenue, where all the major offices are. And you have all this privacy, private driveway. I think they did a really good job with these remodels here too. Yeah, Steph UF just love those townhomes. Aren't these really great, Steph? Look at these. I think my favorite selling points here are these big sort of bay windows that come out. All right, let's go in the park. I want to show you guys the park, but I want to try to come over here more often because it's going to get cold, and we probably won't be in here much when it starts to snow because it's going to be very windy. But wow, look at that. Very peaceful, very tranquil, but the water's moving really fast. You could see it. So you walk down the ramp. And these are the backyards to these townhomes. So not only do you have an amazing view, you actually have a backyard. You can see some tables and chairs set up here. Great views. You have all this additional seating area here. You even have a Wall Street Journal that was left. Or the New York Times. All right, we'll flip that back over. But amazing view here. And this is the new East River Park. That's like an elevated walkway. I think the best way to sort of describe that is kind of like the High Line, but for the east side of Manhattan, which is really nice. Kenny says, Tom, can you walk across the bridge? You can, but it's a living hell to walk across the bridge, I'm not going to lie. And that's not being over dramatic. If you walk across the 59th Street Bridge, in my view, it's the loudest bridge of any of them in the city. Louder than the Manhattan Bridge. This thing, I mean, we've done it before on the stream, and it's not enjoyable for me at all. I don't even think it's enjoyable for you guys when you walk over the 59th Street Bridge. It's a loud, loud bridge. But look at that. This is better perception. Even Even some of these co-ops and condos. This is a new dev. This is a new product. But imagine this being your view out of your bedroom or, even your kitchen, dining room. It's really nice. TCAL is New York Times, one of the best papers worldwide. It was. At one time it was. At one point in time, it definitely was. I used to read the New York Times and get it delivered to my house every day, along with Wall Street Journal, Barron's, and Investors Business Daily. Now I only get delivered Wall Street Journal, Barron's, and IBD. I no longer pay for the Times. I refuse. I'm not sure if you could see, but during the day, whoever owns this townhouse built this really cool spiral staircase. So as this window here, you spiral up the staircase to each floor. Very cool. Really, really cool design. All right, let's head back into the city. Well, further in. They did a great job on this one too. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these streams every day, starting at around 8:30. We'd love to have you along for the ride. We'll make a right. You could actually see the Roosevelt tram going across. And then maybe we'll head down to the UN, the United Nations. We haven't gone to the United Nations in a long, long time. Hey, Juan Fernandez. What's up, Juan? Hope everything's going well in Miami, Florida. I think we did speak about the news that Jeff Bezos is going back to Miami. All right, so this is 59th Street. And Sutton Place. We'll cross and then we'll head down. Hey, Brad's Brain, what's up? It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Destructionist, welcome. Brad, what'd you think about Disney's earnings report today? Bob Iger and team posted a pretty good quarter, beating on both the top and the bottom line. I think they reported about 82 cents worth of EPS. Four, 5, 6 is taking the Trader Joe's. Yeah, there's a Trader Joe's in the bridge. Let's actually do that, might as well. And I think this sort of big blimp here is an indoor tennis court. Okay, let's cross. Yeah, Sparks Carnival says easy beat Wall Street expectations on EPS. The biggest surprise to me was that it seems as if people are still willing to shell out thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to, take their friends, family to Disney. And it's pretty expensive. You know what? I was going to ask this. Has anybody in the chat been to Disney recently? And if you have, share with us in the chat some of the prices that you've experienced. Because there was an article, I believe in Business Insider, that says for the weekend, right, 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, an average family of 4 can spend upwards of $5,000 just for like a weekend trip. That's insane. Yeah, now Disney Plus subscribers did also beat. They had a significant amount of Disney Plus subscription ads. I actually want to walk through here. This looks quite interesting. Hey, Ike is here. Says, this is providing us with the daily content. Thank you so much. Not too many people can be as dedicated as you, Tom. I appreciate that, my friend. Thank you for supporting the stream, and thank you for your very generous $20 donation. And thank you for watching. Oh, DJ Chris is Tom. I went to Universal 3 years ago with a family of 5, and it was about $3,200. So I guess that makes sense, right? $3,200 3 years ago. I guess that makes sense. So like $5,000 in today, 3 years after. D Street Media says, Tom, went to Knott's Berry Farm instead of Disneyland. LA is way too expensive. Studios to Boardwalk. Says, yes, my daughter and I stayed at the Boardwalk 5 days. 4 nights, over $5,000. So I'm assuming Boardwalk is what? One of the main hotels. I've never really been to Disney, I don't think. EUG says Disney has lost some of its magic due to its high cost of tickets. Average family can no longer afford, which is actually really sad. It seems now that if you want to take a trip and plan a trip to Disney, it's, to your point, it's becoming only affordable for, upper middle class and the wealthy in the country. Particularly if you want to stay overnight. Juan Fernandez says, dude, the Boardwalk is crazy expensive. It's nice, but just very pricey. Pieces last December, each meal at Disney is $200 to $400 for a family. Wow. Yeah, that's another thing, right? You have the food, you have the restaurants. And you also, from the earnings call, you also have other like add-ons too. You have like a Disney Plus pass you could buy, and you could skip the lines. I think that's an extra $25. Hey, Christine says, Tom, I used to work for Disney as a vacation planner, and families would spend between $5,000 and $10,000 for 1 week, including tickets for a vacation. Wow. $5,000 and $10,000 for the week. Holy moly. It's crazy that's how much it is. 10 grand, I don't know. With 10 grand, if you can just put that away for 5 years, you could buy your family a vacation home somewhere. But I get it, it's the experience, right? If you have little kids, you want to take your kids to Disney, it's a once in a lifetime experience. You're really buying into the experience, I guess. And, Bob Iger and Disney, they do it better than anybody else. I'm assuming, right? Their revenues prove it, and their average ticket price proves it too.
I was with this guy.
4th of July. Yeah, Cape Cod says it's once in a lifetime for that price. I definitely agree. Yeah, I was very impressed with the quarter. I thought it was a great quarter. I thought the subscriber for Disney Plus was actually going to miss expectations. Turns out they blew it out of the water. And it was a very profitable quarter from them. Look at net income compared to last year, right? They made more money this quarter than they did same quarter last year. Thought it was a very good quarter. Okay, this is now 2nd Avenue. And what you're looking at is the Roosevelt Island tramway. And you're also watching cars go onto the on-ramp of the 59th Street Bridge. So if you think about net income, Disney made about $264 million this quarter alone. If you think about the same quarter last year, they made $162 million. So a significant increase in profitability on a year-over-year basis. Let's cross the street, make sure we don't get knocked off by a vehicle. So a significant year-over-year increase in profitability, all while being in a very, very aggressive tightening cycle by the Federal Reserve, right? Interest rates going up, causing the unemployment rate to go up. But what this tells me, and I think Sparks Carnival mentioned this was sort of his thesis about it, is you still have pent-up vacation demand from the COVID virus, right? 2020, everybody foregone their vacation. 2021, even still people foregone their vacation. I would even argue 2022, that's when most of the country was like, okay, I'll go out and give it a try. But I think 2023, this year, was the first year where almost 100% of the country was totally over the COVID thing, and they're willing to go out and have their vacation. So, and it shows in the numbers. Wow, guys, look at the lobby here. Not this one, I'll turn around. Look at how stunning that looks. This is exactly what I was talking about a little bit earlier in the stream, with all of this sort of wood molding. That's really nice in there. Kevin Grant says, I am surprised. I would have thought Disney's profits would have been billions. Not per quarter. I mean, not per quarter. Per year, yeah, maybe they can get there. But a quarter, they're not like... Because Disney, you gotta, the way I think about Disney's business, yes, it's very successful, but it's not that scalable, right? I think tech... Wow, this is stunning as well. I think this is all the same building. I think a lot of big tech, hey, Michelle K is here, what's up? So big tech like Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, and the like, they've conditioned a lot of investors to say, wait, you didn't make $15 billion this quarter? Oh, that was a bad quarter. Like software and SaaS, right? Particularly SaaS, software as a service business, they are, number one, extremely profitable. Gross margins are insane. It's insanity. Gross margins on software product, and they're very scalable, which means you can deploy them to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of users at very, very low cost, right? But Disney, there's a lot of overhead there, right? You got to drive people to the theme parks. You got to get people to Florida. You got to take people to California. You have to continuously innovate, new entertainment, new movies, spend a lot of money to, come up with new shows and then sell the shows via, Disney Plus. It's just a different business in and of itself. And that's why there's so many billionaires and multi-decade millionaires that have been minted over the last 12 years in the tech space, particularly through cloud computing and SaaS, just because the businesses are so scalable and the margins are ridiculous. The margins are really, really big. This is another good shot here. Hey, Bree Grams, what's up? It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight. Now, this is a quick reminder for everybody. Tomorrow, after the market closes, check your email because we are going to be sending out the third edition of the Behind the Street newsletter, which is our free financial newsletter that we send out every other Thursday. So all the topics we talk about each and every night on the live stream, such as corporate earnings, monetary policy, fixed income, and real estate. If you, God forbid, you miss one of the streams, you could just read our newsletter or listen to it, as we are standing right at the Bloomberg headquarters here. If you can't scan the QR code, you could type !news, N-E-W-S, in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to our Substack. And tomorrow we're going to be writing a lot about yield curve analysis. We're seeing something very interesting in the debt market, particularly the sovereign bond market, in our yield curve, where it's making this transition from an inverted yield curve to an uninverted yield curve. And I think it's important that investors pay attention to that and really understand what that means. What does this transition from an inverted yield curve to an uninverted yield curve mean? Well, you could find out by reading our research tomorrow. You know what, let's go to the Plaza Hotel. But I think I want to go to 60th Street first. So we'll go up one more. Maybe we'll make a right on Lexington since we have the light. Someone says YouTube Premium is going to $17 a month. Wow. Hey, Manny says, I'm aspiring to work in finance in New York City one day. Can you share any insights or advice for someone aiming to build a successful career in this bustling city? Hey, that's awesome. Well, Manny, I think you're going to do it. And I think you'll be really successful. I think the number one thing is you just got to network, right? Particularly if you want to work on Wall Street. It's very much a relationship business, I believe, particularly if you want to go into, investment banking or something like that. At the end of the day, investment banking is a sales job, right? So you got to build your network, have a lot of interpersonal skills. And if you could do that, I think you're going to be really, really successful here. Now, a specific tip I'll give you is the following. I'm not, finance is very broad, so I'm not sure exactly what you want to do. But what's been very effective, and particularly in this market, right, because it's a tight job market, not a lot of people are hiring right now, you got to do something to make yourself stand out. Now, maybe you want to work at a hedge fund. Maybe you want to be, an equity research analyst or a trader or whatnot. What I would do is I would go on LinkedIn, I would do some research, I would make a list in Microsoft Excel of all of the different funds and firms that are located in New York City, right? I would make a list. And then I would take it a step further and I would say, okay, who are the top managing directors, partners, VPs at this firm? That would be step 2. And then if you really want to stand out, I would already have some sort of a portfolio of work that is unique to you, right? Because everybody is looking for a self-starter, right? Yes, you have a degree from, the top schools. Yes, you graduated top of class. But everybody did, you and everybody else, right? Everybody went to the top 50 schools. Everybody has, a 4.0 GPA. But are you taking the initiative, being a self-starter, and doing work already? Which means if you want to be an equity research analyst at a firm, and you're just applying to a job, well, you should already have a portfolio of stocks that you're covering, right? That's what I would do. And I would build my, discounted cash flow models. I would write equity research reports, either post it online or email it to these fund managers specifically and say, hey, I just graduated NYU. I'm looking for a job to be an equity research analyst on your team. Here's my entire portfolio of work on these 10 stocks that I cover. And if you could do that, you're going to stand out. And I think you're going to get a really, really lucrative job. So that's what I would do. Think about creative ways you could be proactive, be a self-starter, do things yourself, right? Don't wait to get the job to start doing the work. Do the work now, send out your work to notable people on the street, and then you'll get the job. That's what I do. So all the way in the distance, you can see the Deutsche Bank Tower. And guys, check this out. You have the beautiful Sherry-Netherland here. Now the Sherry-Netherland, obviously, for me, is really famous because of Jesse Livermore. Jesse Livermore. So I would read the book Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, and it's based upon the life of arguably one of the most iconic stock market operators of all time, Jesse Livermore. So he would go down to Wall Street and trade in the bucket shops, and then he would go all the way uptown to Central Park South, and he would have a drink at the bar at the Sherry-Netherland. Now on one night, on Thanksgiving night, it's alleged that he killed himself, shot himself in the cloakroom of the Sherry-Netherland Hotel. But there's also some rumors that he may have been killed, but I don't know if that's true. But there is some stuff. Anyway, Mason Manning says, "Wow, amazing. Thanks very much. Best of luck to you and yours." Thank you so much. You know, Manny, if you want to stay connected, if you sign up for our financial newsletter, sometimes I do put in, you know, different tips and things like that. So it's a good way to stay connected. Because if you're actually going to move to New York City and you're serious and you want to get a job at a firm or a fund and you're a sharp guy, right, I will help you. So if you want to stay connected, just the best way to reach me is through the newsletter or my email. Look at this. Oh, they're putting up the holiday lights. Look at this. At least that's what I think they're doing. Padilla says, "Tom, what are your thoughts on Ryan Serhant's thinking about appearance and dressing professional, considering many real estate agents today dress casual?" Well, it really just depends on what the audience, you dress for the audience you're selling to, right? And Ryan Serhant just so happens to deal with probably some of the most, I would say, luxurious. He deals with the highest of the high end of the market. So you need to dress for that, right? You know, you dress essentially, long and the short of it is you have to dress for what you're selling, the product you're selling. You know what I love, not to be like too creepy, but you see these guys, these two here? I love that style. That is like the most, I think that is the most cool style in the world. Those long trench coats, like, look so sharp. I wish I was like 75 years old and I could dress like that every day. I love that style, dude. That is like such a professional style. But look, if you're selling, a loft in Brooklyn, right, in Red Hook, Brooklyn, for example, you're probably not going to sell too much if you come in there in like a suit and a tie and, a nice briefcase, right? But, if you're selling, a $20 million apartment in the Sherry-Netherland, then yeah, you have to come super buttoned up and polished, right? This is very ritzy Upper East Side. But there's also a lot of product that's newer, that's more hip, that's tailored to a different clientele. So, Ryan deals with a lot of that more high-end, very polished, very buttoned up, height of the market. But generally, I agree with him, right? You should dress professionally. Now, do I suit up every day? Not every day, most days. I would say I go to work in a suit. But if I'm going to Brooklyn, right, we have a big project that we're selling in Brooklyn in Red Hook, you're just going to look really, really out of place if you show up in Red Hook, Brooklyn with a big suit on. You're probably not going to sell much product there. It's just a different demographic, I'd say. I know, and those Allen Edmond shoes. I like those two. Very classic, very sharp, very New York, very Madison Avenue. No, I'd say very Park Avenue. Now this is the main entrance to the, what was I going to say? The residences at the Plaza Hotel. A lot of people don't know this, but the residences are on the Central Park South side, and the hotel is actually adjacent from the GM building. Let's continue to walk down Central Park South. Brad's brains, I'm with you on the overcoat. Yeah, like a big trench coat. I just think it looks super professional, super polished. But then again, it takes I get why things have gotten more casual over the last decade particularly. It's a lot of work to dress up every day, right? I'm not gonna lie. In my previous career in tech sales, I would, mainly because my boss was very strict, but I'm kind of glad I had a very strict boss. I had a really, really, I would say, polished and more of a classic legacy telecom boss who's been in the business for almost 40 years. So he would, if you walked into the morning meeting, even 2 minutes late, I mean, even if it was like a catastrophe, right, something cataclysmic happened, you'd be hearing it. Trust me. If your shirt was wrinkled or your tie wasn't, on properly, you'd hear about it. And I'm kind of glad I went through that, because I think that's how most people should behave. But I don't know. I don't dress up every day now. Not now. But for example, if I'm going to show, oh, look at this police car. It's like a teeny mini smart car police car. Look at that thing. I can almost pick it up like this. Anyway, look at the traffic here, guys. There's usually not this much traffic on Central Park South. This is like a gridlock here. I wonder what's going on. There must be some big event at Columbus Circle. Let's go over there and check it out. But this is crazy traffic here. At this time of night, this is usually dead. Anyway, but like, let's say if I have a showing at my new listing at 5 Franklin Place, yeah, I'm gonna be in a full suit for that, right? In Tribeca, 100%. I know, Brie Grant is like a Lego car. I don't know how intimidating that little NYPD clown car is. I don't think they should be having those. Too small, man. This is my old building, 106 Central Park South. This was my favorite building I've ever lived in, ever, right here. 106 Central Park South. Oh, the guy lost his little, what is it called? The cane thing. Well, I think we have our answer as to why the traffic is so egregious. They're ripping up the entire road here at Central Park South, which is good news. It looks like we're going to get brand new infrastructure here. But they have looks like they have 2 lanes closed off, which is causing this huge traffic stretching all the way down Central Park South. G. Raymond says, geez, stop dissing small cars. Do police have to intimidate to gain respect? In some respect, yeah. I think there needs to be like a hierarchy of authority. In my opinion, maybe I'm wrong. But I think, you know, when you think of a police officer, you should be like, oh, you know, that's a cop. Let's, you know, brushing up here a little bit. I think you do need a little bit of fear. Oh, actually, I don't know. I wonder what they're doing. You have big bay crane here. Let's see what they're doing, actually. Oh, and they're closing it down all the way past the JW Marriott Essex House. Excuse me, sir. Do you know what are you guys building something? Ah. New HVAC system on the roof.
Safety.
They're putting a new HVAC system on the roof. That must cost a lot. Okay, this is 7th Avenue. We'll make a left. And we'll check out Alwyn Court. Raymond G says, think viewers should do some more world travel. Big cars aren't needed in Japan, for example. No, I definitely get it. I mean, I think you make a good point, Raymond, but you know, Japan is a very homogenous society. New York City is it's a whole different animal than like Tokyo. It's the United States is a whole different animal than most other countries, right? If you look at crime rates across the board in some of the countries that have the lowest crime rates, it's just like you can't compare it to the United States. But I definitely see what you mean. All right, this is Alwyn Court. This is one of my favorite buildings in all New York City. Look at the architecture on that. Really stunning. Oh, nice. Steph UF says my son is going to Japan on his honeymoon. Fantastic. Josie says, Tom, do you like the electric NYPD cars? I love them. Particularly the new Ford Mustang Mach-E. I'm not sure how many the Force purchased, but I love those. You guys know I love EVs. I'm a huge, huge EV supporter. Love them. You could hear the clacking of the horses there. And this big guy is Central Park Tower. Yeah, I think I'd want to visit Japan, Korea. I think they're just very efficient places, particularly public transportation in big cities like Seoul, Tokyo. Public transportation just seems so efficient, very clean, very safe. Yeah, Sparks Carnival. This is Japan stock market. Is almost trading back to all-time record highs since Japan topped in the 80s. Now, that's going to be another thing that we talk about in the newsletter tomorrow. There's an interview. You kind of got to dig through the weeds to find it. But Larry Fink's, I was about to say Larry Fink's, anyway, Larry Fink's BlackRock, or I should say BlackRock's very own Larry Fink, the CEO, was being interviewed. I think this was by Reuters, or it may have been Bloomberg, I forget which one, but it's besides the point. I'll write about it. They're seeing a massive amount of interest in investment in Japan. And you're starting to see the Japanese stock market. If you go to TradingView, if you pull up MarketSmith at your Bloomberg terminal and you look at a monthly time frame of the Japanese stock market, you'll see it topped in the 80s and it's been going down to sideways ever since. But I think we're only like 15% away from the all-time record high. And I think the Japanese stock market's going to make a new high, and it's going to go on one of the most powerful bull runs, similar to what the United States did in 2009 all the way to 2021, or I should say 2019, before the COVID crash. So have your eyes peeled on Japan, but again, we'll write about that tomorrow. Yeah, TCALS is Japan, third largest economy in the world. I'm going to have a section on that tomorrow. So if you scan the QR code right here, and if you want to receive that research piece, I'm going to send it out tomorrow at right around 6:30 or 7 p.m. And Japan will be one of the topics that is covered in that. Or if you type _news, NEWS, in the chat, the Nightbot will drop the link to our Substack, and you can subscribe to it for free. Oh, look at the Christmas lights up here already. And you can read all of our archived research, and every other Thursday after the market closes, you will get the newsletter. But let's go inside the Deutsche Bank Towers, because it looks like they have put up their holiday display already. This is the Trump International Hotel and Tower right here. Looks good with the clouds in the background. Hey, hang with Mark Moms. Hey Tom Mods in chat. Japan vacation is on my bucket list. It is on my bucket list too. I think Japan and Korea would be very, very exciting places to go to. Now one of the penthouses that sits all the way at the top of One Central Park West, the team I'm on now, Kirsten Jordan, actually had the listing of that. It didn't sell. I think she listed it at $35 million. Then they took it off market, and then after the pandemic, the Alexander brothers, who now have their own brokerage, they listed it. I think it's sold. I'm not too sure what it's sold for, but the owners of that apartment, when they bought it, their goal was to make it their dream apartment, right? So this is just for some context. It's literally the entire top floor. It's stunning. Their goal was to make it their dream place. So they spent so much money renovating it to make it exactly personalized to them. And they've never been in it once. They've never been in it. And they sold it. And I guess that's just, sometimes people are like, yeah, actually, no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to visit it. It's kind of a similar story to what happened at 432 Park. I think one of the record sales at 432 Park Avenue was purchased by a Saudi retail, super successful entrepreneur from Saudi Arabia, specializing in retailing. And I believe he bought it, and he's never even been in it. He's never gone in it once. He's only seen videos and photos of it. And then he sold it. And I think he sold it for a loss. Maybe like a $10 or $20 million loss. But this is an amazing shot of New York City's Billionaires Row. You can see Central Park Tower and 220 Central Park South from here. Hey Brett, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. We appreciate it. Yeah, for those of you who are new here, we do these streams usually every day, starting at 8:30 p.m., where we walk around the city, explore the different neighborhoods, talk about the real estate here, and talk about the financial markets. And we also write a free investor newsletter. It comes out every other Thursday, and you will all get that in your email box tomorrow at 6:30. But let's actually turn the corner here on West 60th Street and take a look at one of the most luxurious hotels in the city. It's called the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. You have such a high concentration of five-star hotels. You have the Trump International Hotel and Tower. You have the Park Hyatt Hotel, which is inside 157. Now, 157 was the first building ever constructed on New York City's Billionaires Row. It was developed by Gary Burnett. He owns the Extel Corporation, which a few years later actually went on to one-up themselves, and they've constructed Central Park Tower right here. And inside 157, you have the five-star hotel, the Park Hyatt. So if you own a unit at 157, you share the amenities with the hotel. And the 83rd floor, I was about to say 86th, but the entire 83rd floor was just listed last week by Noble Black, broker at Douglas Elliman. And I went to the broker open house there. Our team was invited to that, and it's just an amazing property. Really, really stunning. So if you go to Street Easy, and you type in 157 West 57th Street, you can actually take a look at the listing. I don't know if they have a video up yet, but you can look at some of the photos. And the living room is perfectly centered on Central Park. It's a stunning, stunning property. But this is the Mandarin Oriental. Now, this building was originally the AOL Time Warner Center, which was constructed by the Related Group. But, as we know, Deutsche Bank Oh, look, another cop car. Something must be going on. Deutsche Bank, which is a German investment bank, publicly traded under the ticker symbol DB. They vacated their flagship office on Wall Street, 60 Wall Street, and now they've taken over this building. It's not called the Time Warner Center anymore. It's called the Deutsche Bank Tower. It's a mixed-use building. They have, obviously, the amazing Mandarin Oriental New York, which is right here. I'm sure you remember from our Miami live streams, the Mandarin Oriental in Brickell Key. It's also another great one. You have office space. Obviously, Deutsche Bank is in here. I believe CNN may still be in here, or they were in here at one point. Then you have mixed use. You have retail, you have restaurants, you have all shops. There's actually a Whole Foods in the basement of the building. Let's see if it's still open. Might as well take a quick peek inside. I think it may be closed. Oh, cool. We could actually check it out. So there's 3 stories. There's high-end retail. You sort of have the box office here for the Jazz at Lincoln Center. But during the holidays, they hang all of these beautiful stars. And there's also speakers. Now during the day, they coordinate the light show with the music, which is really nice. And they keep it so clean in here. Now another thing that's really cool, you can't really see it because it's dark and there's the reflection, but you could see all of Billionaires Row from the inside of here. And then down in the basement, you have the Whole Foods. All right, I'll give you guys a little tip. There's a really nice cafe here, and they have all seating that looks over Central Park. And it's an affordable place. You can go there and have breakfast for like 20 bucks. You could sit there, have coffee, you know, it's just a really cool place. I actually went there Monday, I think. Monday morning. And you don't have to spend all this money, you know, to have a breakfast. You can be inside here and you have an amazing view of Central Park and Billionaires Row, and you could sit there for as long as you want. So instead of spending $250 at Sarah Beth's to sit outside and freeze your you-know-what off, you can come here to the Deutsche Bank Tower, take the advice of me, go all the way up to the second floor, and you could sit right here. It's full dining. You could take as much time as you want, and you could order a really nice breakfast, sit there with a cup of coffee, and you have amazing views overlooking all the way to the Upper East Side of Manhattan and Billionaires Row. So that's my tip of the day. All right, thumbs up or thumbs down on the tip of the day? I think it's a 2 thumbs up. When you guys get here and experience it for yourself, it's a big hack, because a lot of the breakfast places in and around Columbus Circle, I mean, you're going to spend, you know, $60 to $70 a plate, which is just really, really expensive. This is the Columbus Circle train station. You get the AC, BD, and 1 trains. But since we're here, we might as well walk around the block and show you the main headquarters of Deutsche Bank. And the scaffolding should be down, or at least coming down soon. This used to be one of my old apartments. Now, way, way back in the day, when I used to go to college, right at the end of the block here, I used to live in a walk-in closet in one of the apartments here. It was a 4-bedroom apartment, and they had this really, really big walk-in closet. And I was at a party. It was my brother's friends. I was at a party, and I was like, whoa, this is a huge walk-in closet. They're like, yeah, it's awesome. I was like, hey, I will live here. And I did. All right, yeah, the scaffolding is down. This actually looks really good. Let's see if they have any good office art in here. Sometimes they'll have like a big artist, like Cause statue or something. Let's see what they got. It's okay. It's not as bland as it was before, but it looks good. One Columbus Circle. Then this is the residences at 25 Columbus Circle. And then you can see Central Park Tower and 220 Central Park South. Yeah, hang with Mark. Mom says, I used to live in Brooklyn but made all my money in Manhattan. Only way to live for me. Yeah, some people like Brooklyn. I used to live in Greenpoint. Hey, marketing videography is a great recommendation. Been there, done that. It's a really nice place there. And very seldom is it like super packed. I think the ambiance in there is better than, Sarah Beth to have you sitting outside. Using people says, how many years do you think Sam Bankman-Fried will get? I honestly don't know. I haven't really been following it. Look, I don't know, but I mean, I think he's facing 110 years, is he not? Something like that. Now, I was thinking about the criminal justice system in the U.S. Now, if you have someone like that does such egregious crime, right? White-collar crime, and you just lock him up forever behind bars, and he just sits behind a prison cell and rots away, like, what? That's like, there's no value add there. And the guy is not a stupid guy. Right? It's not like he's an idiot. He's a smart person. Now, I'm not excusing anything he did. I called this scam 2 years ago. But what about this proposition? Let me know what you guys think. I think we should put him to work for the U.S. government, working on, new technologies or producing something, building a new product or service. And he just does that for free forever. So at least we get some free intellectual capital out of the guy, or, whatever money he makes goes back to pay back investors and people that he scammed. But if we just have him sitting in a cell, it's not like he's going to be in a maximum penitentiary, right? He's going to be in like a nice place playing tennis. I mean, that's the reality, right? He's not going to go to like a maximum security solitary confinement prison, right? He's going to live a nice life. I mean, relatively speaking. So maybe we put him to work. Put him to work. That's what the U.S. government does to cyber criminals sometimes. Maybe he should, or if he's allowed to work in the private sector again, any money he makes just goes back to paying back the investors that he's scammed. But if he's just sitting away in a prison, he's producing no value and none of their investors get their money back. I don't know. Any thoughts on that? Yeah, Yogi, that's true. I would worry about giving him leverage over anything important. True. Kevin Grant says, do you agree with 3 strikes and you're out policy, Tom? 3 crime, prison for life? I don't. Like what kind of crime are we talking about here? Like if somebody's like shoplifting at a CVS, if they do it 3 times, should they be in prison for life? No, I don't think they should be in prison for life. but I think there should be like severe penalties, right? I think we should crack down on that crime. I don't think it should be catch and release. But 3 strikes you're out for violent crime, yeah. But it all depends, I think. It depends on the type of crime, I guess. G. Raymond says he is smart. That is very true. You can't treat white-collar criminals differently than those who commit other types of crimes. Sad to say, but the U.S. loves to jail its own citizens. Yeah, I don't know. And I'm not saying I have the right answer. I'm just sort of speculating. This is just an idea. Maybe it's not a good idea, right? But I'm just trying to come up with an idea. Because I feel like I almost feel like that's letting them off easy. Because he scammed so many people, and essentially he was using FTX as a big slush fund to travel the world, buy a bunch of houses, live in the Bahamas. You know, he wasn't the guy that he made himself out to be in the media, right? He was living a very nice life. And I remember sending a text to my friend one day when this crazy, cringy interview came out with this guy interviewing Sam Bankman-Fried. And he's like, yeah, I only drive a Toyota Corolla. And the guy was like, Sam Bankman-Fried, he's the richest guy in the world, but his goal is to give it all away, and he drives a Toyota Corolla. But they're doing the interview outside of his mega mansion in the Bahamas. I'm like, dude, yeah, he's pointing to a Toyota Corolla, but he's in the parking lot of his estate in the Bahamas. Like, he's not living in a little closet somewhere, guys. Anyway, the whole situation's really sad. I feel bad for the investors, I really do. Because a lot of, normal people got really burned by this. And that's not cool. That's not cool at all. But do you guys get what I'm saying, though? I'm not trying to excuse it and say, oh, this is a way to get him out of jail. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I feel like he should have to work to pay back the investors, but I think we should get something out of it. Like, we need to get something in return. So he's not stupid, right? Putting all biases aside, he's a smart kid. His IQ is probably genius level, right? I think we could all agree on that. But he's a sociopath. He's a fraud, right? 2 of those things could be true at once. So how do we maximize value and provide justice to people that were scammed without letting a good opportunity go to waste? That's what I'm saying. Because at this point, right, if Sam Bankman-Fried goes to jail for forever, the investors aren't going to get paid back. It's impossible. There's no way. So I don't know. I don't know the answer. I really don't. Mary says he can help collect garbage. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Double Eagle says work making license plates. G. Raymond says I like the idea, but there needs to be fairness in the judicial system. I agree. Brad's Brain says, Tom, you're describing Shawshank Redemption, another great movie that you haven't seen. Ha! I know, I gotta get better on watching movies. In due time, I'll watch it. 1W says, man, just have him pick up trash on the highway just like other criminals. Look, I wouldn't be opposed to that either, but, I'm kind of being a little greedy here. Like, I think he's a smart person and we could extract value out of him. Maybe he comes up with a crazy invention that could, I don't know. I'm just rambling now. I don't know. I think you guys are right. Maybe I'm wrong on this one. Stephanie R says the FBI needs to put him to work. I think if the FBI is, once the FBI regains a little bit of their credibility, then I would agree. Let's have the FBI put him to work. the Russian tea room. You know, last night on the live stream, we were talking about cybersecurity, right? And just how massive the total addressable market for cybersecurity is going to get. And one of the unfortunate truths about that is the reason why spending on cybersecurity software is going to grow so big is because criminals are unfortunately getting more sophisticated by the day to launch massive, ransomware and cyber attacks, not only against nation states, but individual businesses. So look, Sam Bankman-Fried's a computer scientist. Maybe we have him working for free for the US government on cyber protection programs, right? That is audited by other cybersecurity experts and professionals. We've done that before. And the government does do that now. So the government actually hires, former cyber criminals to sort of hire them to say, okay, how did you hack this? How did you get in? Maybe that's an option, right? Today, kind of unrelated to pivot, cyber stocks had another really good day. Right, Zscaler, CrowdStrike, and they're coming off back-to-back quarters of triple-digit EPS growth. So I think cybersecurity is a big sector to watch. Very, very big. All right, let's make a right. Yeah, that's true. Well, Billy, isn't the founder and the creator of the Silk Road still in jail? I think that's crazy. That poor kid is in jail forever. I think they should pardon him, to be honest. Now, they put him in jail forever to make an example out of him. But I don't think he deserves to be in jail for life. I mean, that's ridiculous. Yeah, you're right, Ross. I don't know. But it's a good topic of conversation. I mean, there's an old saying, right? That the United States has the best, worst criminal justice system in the world. I forget who I heard that from, but I think it's kind of true, right? The United States of America has the best, worst criminal justice system in the entire world. I think if I was in trouble, or I committed a crime in any country around the world, I would probably choose the United States to do that. In some countries, they don't even have due process. They just either kill you or throw you in jail without any sort of systematic process or any defense. But it's not perfect. I know, Brad's brain, that's true too. Brilski says America isn't a serious country. Well, it's the greatest country in the world that has the greatest system in the world, that produces the greatest entrepreneurs, the greatest companies, the most prosperity. It has the highest probability of class mobility of any country on earth. It's fantastic. It's a golden beacon of hope. It's the golden goose. It's the golden goose of capitalism. And we're in the greatest city, in the greatest country on earth. But right at the corner here on West 53rd Street, I'm going to leave you guys off and we will talk tomorrow. Now again, as the quick reminder, check your email tomorrow around 7 o'clock. I'm going to send out the 3rd edition of the Behind the Street newsletter. We're going to talk about the yield curve. We're going to talk about the equity market, and we're going to talk about the WeWork bankruptcy. So if you want to be signed up to receive that newsletter tomorrow, just scan the QR code on your screen or type !news, N-E-W-S, in the chat, and you will be signed up to receive the newsletter. But until then, everybody, we will see you all tomorrow live from New York City. I hope to get down to Tribeca. We've been doing a lot of the live streams uptown because I've been working at the office late. But tomorrow, hopefully we can get to Tribeca. So I will see you all tomorrow in, hopefully, Tribeca. So Colton Manning, I appreciate it. Richard Vogel, Austin City Limits, Sally Using People, Hang with Mark Mom, all of our great moderators. G. Raymond, appreciate it. Colton Manning, Bree Grams, there's always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. And I'll see all of you right back here in New York City tomorrow. Thanks for watching.